I was walking around with Dottie Pepper. We were scouting the place. And I said to her when we were done, I'd take 471s right now. That's 4 under. She laughed. She said to me, I'd take 472s right now.
Wow.
And I've talked to some.
Really?
I've talked to some players and players and caddies, and they're like, man, everyone's charting where to miss the thing. Not necessarily where to hit on the green. They're looking for like bailouts and places where you can just mitigate disaster, really. Because bogey is almost a given right now, the way this golf course is playing. And the downwind holes, I sort of laugh because on 10, and then 11's a par 5 that's got a really small green that you can't land it short because there's a big upslope, and behind the green there's fescue. So that could be dangerous. Then 12 and 13, all the ball marks. I bumped into Curtis Strange out there on 12. He was doing the recce because he's on the ESPN crew. And all the ball marks are like 5 feet short of the green, and on the front edge of the green, every player trying to land them short and just climb the ball onto the green somehow. So when you're on the downwind holes, it's not like it's open season and you're attacking either. So I'm really keen to see how the PGA set this thing up, because it is just freaking hard. And with the wind blowing, and then add to this, right? We got this wind is forecast for 3 days. Then on the weekend, it's supposed to flip and come in the opposite direction. Now, not one of these players has seen that wind, because it didn't blow. Today it was the easterly or whatever it is. Yesterday it was kind of light breezes, but out of the same direction. So all of the lines off the tee are going to change. Everything's good. It's going to be like this thing just hits people head on, and they're like, all right, where do I aim this now? So it's going to be pure survival. That's what it's going to be.
So when I was looking at the routing, Mark, it looks like the weather report says wind out of the east.
East, yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, out of the east.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yep. And it looks like the routing goes north south. So is it not a crosswind? Is it like with the holes? No,
it's weird because the island sits at a strange sort of an angle. So you got the ocean down on this side of you, but all the holes run down the ocean. So you basically go into the wind going out, then you travel downwind for a whole bunch of the course. Then the last stretch of it, you come back into the wind. So you're playing into the wind or downwind, perhaps quartering slightly. I mean, barely.
Okay.
You're playing straight into the fan. Like the par 5 16th, Christian Donald was out there, and these guys, it's 600 yards, right? And I saw Jordan out in front, and there's a water hazard that's, I don't know what it is to cover. I should have my yardage book. Let's call it 240. Spieth hit a drive that was just 15 yards over the water, if that shows you how hard the wind was blowing. And he can move it like 300 or so. So he's essentially hit the thing about 270. So it's 30 yards worth of wind. So you hit one of those, and you rip a fairway middle, and you still got some sort of wedge into a green that's got a bunker that looks like that thing at La Quinta at the stadium course. It's like 30 feet deep, 20 feet deep. Mm-hmm. And then add to all of this while I'm on a roll.
We're still adding things, Mark?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Get this, right? So all the bunkers on the place are sort of waste areas, and they are not manicured. And like I caught up with Ian Poulter, and he said to me, how's this place? All the players are grinding their lob wedges because out of these bunkers, it's a really firm base with some sea sand that's not raked. Now, the players have the option to rake it, and all of the holes, when you're playing safely away from the water, you might land in one of these things. Then you got this hard pan out of some dude's footprint to a green with water on the other side. It is mean, man. It is just so nasty, this place. But it's beautiful. I mean, the pictures on TV are going to be unreal.
I don't know what you just heard, Coach, but I heard some diabolical stuff coming out of Kiawah Island this week.
I'm telling you right now, I would take the last 8 minutes, and I would make the last 8 minutes of this show, or however long that Mark has been talking, and make it its own podcast.
Okay,
what does that say, Mark?
What does it say?
Well, I hadn't got to look at my best because I was working, right? But there's one here that says there's no hole in one in the tournament. I'm taking that. There's no chance. I mean, it's now who knows? It's maritime, and you see that's the beauty of this place, because maybe the wind does lay down, in which case these guys will have their way with the place because the greens are very playable. They're rolling very true. The ball's hitting and releasing and taking some check. And then guys will probably shred the place. But if the wind blows just anything like it did today, which was 15 consistently, man, par is going to be a really good score.
I think it's crazy that, and I'm interested in kind of your take on this, Mark, because in 2012, as far as I understand, it blew really hard on Friday, right? Like 25, 30. The scoring average was 78, 79, something like that. And then I don't think it blew a ton the other 3 days. And yet Rory got to 13, which, I don't know, throw that out. Like, he's a freak. So the other guys got to 5 under. Do you not think that like guys could get to 5, 6, 7 under, like with it, unless there's a day where it blows 25, 30 miles an hour? Like what's the I guess my question is, what's the difference between getting to 5 or 6, 5 under in 2012 versus doing it in 2021?
Well, I'll quickly go through the course. The second's a par 5 that's like a 90-degree dogleg, and you cannot afford to miss it left. Dustin Johnson there hit a really solid drive, hit a hard 3-wood, and was just close to green's edge. Yes, Jacob with the overhead. It's that hole right there where he's moving the cursor. And you can see there's disaster on either side of the stuff. So he's ripped 2 woods on a par 5 where normally he can get to those, and he's around the front of the green. The next hole is a really difficult short par 4. The following hole 4, if you keep scrolling, Jacob, it's like 4 there. That one there that goes into the corner, that thing's like 480 straight into the wind. Then you've got this par 3 that sort of sits caddy corner to stuff. That's got the crosswind. And then you turn downwind. Now, the next hole is a short par 4. Guys had wedges in there. I was talking to Jacko Neiman. He had a driver and a wedge over there. Then the next hole is a par 5 that's reachable for everyone. So there's your first legitimate birdie opportunity. Then the next hole is a par 3, right? And this hole is another one of those. You can see there's the green right there. I was on the tee with Christian Beseno. He had an 8-iron, landed on the front of the green, rolled through the back left edge. It's also perched up. Bryson had 3 balls. He couldn't hit it on the green. Then the next hole, 9, is downwind. I mean, that's fairly easy. You can probably make a birdie there. Then if you keep scrolling, Jacob, then you go to the back. And then 10 is the hole at the top there. That's downwind. That's a birdie opportunity. So that's you've had 3 now, right? Then the next hole's a par 5. Conceivably, it's a birdie opportunity, but that green is so tiny, and there's a severe upslope, and there's nothing but problems around that green there. So I feel like you might find guys almost laying up downwind. So that's a 50-50 opportunity, but it's not a guarantee, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Then the next hole, it's long. It's like 480, but the wind was so strong, the guys would drive it over those bunkers and have wedge into the green. So that's an opportunity, right? Then 13, they've moved the tee back. The tee's way back there close to those houses. Okay.
Oh, right there.
And everyone's going to hit it short of the bunkers there, that scatter of bunkers. And from there, they're going to have something in the 160 range to a green that is narrow, man. And there's a hazard on the penalty area on the right. So I wouldn't call that a real birdie opportunity, and it depends on hole location. Now you're done downwind. Now you turn back into fan. The next one here is this par 3. I mean, it is like 240 off the back. You're playing straight in the wind. The next hole's 460 or something into the wind, that par 4. Then the next hole's a par 5, and you go over that expanse of water. That's where Jordan was. He drove the thing kind of where the edge of the water was.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, laid up something short of that big bunker, whatever, waste hazard, whatever you call it. And the green's tiny. So I wouldn't call that a birdie opportunity. And then you get to 17, which is the one where you had all the Ryder Cup disaster.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this thing. This thing is an animal.
Wow.
So you're teeing off from where Jacob's cursor is over there, right? And like I was talking to Dottie, you see how the right edge of the green sits at an angle to the players, right? So with the wind coming in and off the right on that angle there, the players aren't going to challenge the right-hand side of the green because it's a longer carry. So they're going to hit something straight at those 2 bunkers, and they are not manicured. Unless all the caddies get together and they're like, we're going to rake bunkers over here, you could draw anything in there. So if you make, I said to Dottie, if you make 2 3s and 2 4s on that hole, you're gaining ground. So that's 17. You're just trying to avoid disaster, really. And then 18, The tee's down here in the corner. It's to me the widest fairway on the property, and I would say even into the wind, it gives you a decent birdie opportunity. So I guess the point I'm making is the par threes are hard as rip. The par fives are not guaranteed birdie opportunities, and so I'm looking at a thing where on the PGA Tour, the golfers typically feast on the fives, and then they make threes on threes, and you got the nucleus of 68. That's just not happening this week. I just cannot see it happening.